Before I ask you about the Olympics, you posted a video on Instagram a few days ago, and I think it was in Rome. And normally, when you guys land a trick, you kind of play it cool. But I think even you were like, "Man, that was something special," and you kind of looked at the crowd and did that heart.
Yeah.
Was that something that was like even you were kind of like, "Man, that was a special special trick."
Yeah, no, well, it was, no one actually saw it because it was in practice before, except for the crowd. But the practice, we had a 30-minute practice right before the semifinals began. And I messed up on a trick down the 10 rail, and I flew down the whole rail and landed on my back. And it honestly was one of the worst slams I've taken skating in years. It was so bad that I was like in shock and laying on the bottom of the stairs, like checking my body, like, okay, am I good? Is my back good? Am I all right? Did I hit my head? Like I didn't know what happened in the sense because it was just so bad and caught me off guard. And, I got back up and walked off the course, and the crowd was clapping. And yeah, it was just, obviously it was hurting after something like that. You imagine flying, down 10 stairs to your back. It's crazy because that has never happened to me. It was just kind of a freak thing. But yeah, it definitely affected my spirits for sure. And then I was like, well, it doesn't matter. I'm here in Rome. I got to get back on my board. And I stepped back on my board, and yeah, the crowd in Rome was just so stoked to see that I stepped back on my board after such a hard slam. And as soon as I stepped back on my board, like the crowd just started yelling, and they're super supportive. And then every little trick I did, they were just kind of cheering me on. And there was this kind of cool connection, I guess, that I've never really had in that sense, where I felt like the crowd's energy kind of brought me back to life, And yeah, within about a 10-minute period after the slam, I was starting to feel better, and then the competition began. So it was a pretty quick turnaround before competing, you can say. And then, yeah, I ended up putting everything together. And then, yeah, that trick was the very last try I had. And if I didn't land it, I wouldn't have made the finals. And then, yeah, I just went for it and rolled away. And so it was this crazy sense of relief, but also like the crowd was just so psyched. And I just remember rolling away with this huge sense of relief, but also looking at the crowd like, you guys helped me with this, it was this cool connection. And so, yeah, after that, you see me like put my hand up and give a heart to the crowd because they were so supportive. And then, I ended up after I was done skating, putting on my mask and sneaking into the crowd to the one section and saying hello. And they're just so stoked. So it was a really cool experience in the sense of just kind of as a skateboarder being connected to the fans. And then also they were just so supportive because they'd saw kind of what I came back from.
What was your final placing in Rome? I'm just trying to figure out like the qualification stuff. I've been following you for a little bit, and I think you had to be in the top 20 in the world at the end of the qualification period. And I think you're 10th, like you're
Yeah.
ahead of that. So like what was the final nail in the coffin that sealed your spot at the Olympics?
I think I don't actually know because there's a lot of math involved to calculate. It's funny because different events give you different amounts of points leading into the Olympics. But I was under the impression that if I made the top 16, then I was good to go to the Olympics. And, so semifinals was a really big day for a lot of people because of how much points you get based on how you placed at World Championships. Makes or breaks a lot of people's Olympics for them. And so, yeah, for me, it was like a really big deal in that sense, because even though I was ranked number one in Canada, that event was the most important one, period.
So
And
that trick then actually meant a lot. Like you getting into the finals on that trick that you had the last chance. That
mhm.
that was actually pretty important too. That landing
Yeah,
that.
no, like that like it was probably one of the most like life-changing tricks I've done in the contest. And I didn't even realize it at the time because I was just focused on my process and, doing the tricks I had planned. But in hindsight and looking back on it, that last try and that trick was really a big game changer for my Olympics. So
What was that called? I have zero clue about skateboarding. I have
Yeah,
no.
no worries.
What was that?
That trick is called a kickflip backside tail slide big spin out.
Okay, that sounds like it's special.
Oh yeah,
um,
different
so
word.
did you find out then officially on Friday, or how did you find out officially that okay, you're going?
So after that, and once the whole event was finished, then the World Skate Organization calculates and tallies all of the placements. But I had already knew because I made the top 8 with how many points it gets. And before going into Rome, I think I wasn't sitting too well. I was like 17th in the world. And so I knew I was going to jump up the leaderboard and I was guaranteed to go at that point. But it didn't feel real until the COC did the announcement and Team Canada did the announcement, and now it definitely feels like we're going to Tokyo, so it's pretty cool.
That was my next question. Has it fully sunk in yet? Like you're going to the Olympics? I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's funny because this has basically been like a 2-3 year process if you want to count the year of COVID because we didn't do anything. Um, and even with going into this being in a really good position to get into the Olympics, it did not feel real at all until it was announced from Team Canada, and then I'm getting all the interviews and um, you know basically getting emails preparing for what's to come in the Olympics. So
You and I talked a couple of years ago about some of the injuries you had. I think you had a failed knee surgery in 2014.
yeah,
Then you have this kind of experimental surgery in 2017, a cadaver implant.
yeah.
Just having gone through all that, how much more rewarding is it to be where you are right now?
I mean, it's honestly absolutely unbelievable for me because there was a point where I was so defeated with coming back from my knee injuries that it wasn't even about trying to come back to skateboarding. I'd accepted that I might never be able to be a professional skateboarder and do it for a living anymore, but I wanted to just get my life back. And so to mentally be in those spaces and then to be able to have came back from that place, and in hindsight it was overwhelming, especially at Rome after that, and just realizing like, hey, you did this, you're going to the Olympics, and then knowing the like how dark it got really for me over those years. So yeah, it's kind of like hard to put into words, honestly.
Even in the pandemic, you told me that we'll see who comes out of this stronger. Who is sitting around and who is using this to get better. And I
Yeah,
think people kind of, when they think about pro skaters, a lot of the time they don't think about how like pro athletes, like you guys are
yeah.
actually athletes. And I know you put a lot of work in, in the gym, and maybe even some like sports psychology stuff as well. I don't know if you have a mental trainer or anything like that, but how much work did you put in during the pandemic to make sure you came out stronger?
I mean, for me, it was kind of a blessing because my schedule is always so busy and I have to travel so much that you kind of end up feeling kind of beat up by the end of the year. And to have COVID, it's a terrible situation, but I just had to stay in California for the whole year. And so all I did was work out, 3-4 days a week and, doing stuff at home. And then I'd be out filming, actually working on a video part. And well, it's a shorter video part, but that's going to be releasing actually through X Games. They do this competition called X Games Real Street. And that'll be coming out July 5th. But yeah, just being able to focus in on my body and really prepare. By the time I was about 6 months into COVID and like being very militant with what I was doing, I was like, wow, I feel better than ever. And so it was a weird silver lining to a really bad situation last year.
As far as Kamloops, I got a few Kamloops questions for you. You grew up here, you're born and raised here,
Yeah.
and I imagine you skated a ton in with friends here, and you had certain spots that you'd go. I mean, can you just give us an idea of how Kamloops contributed to your skating career and where you are today?
Yeah, well, Kamloops is a really unique city in the sense that there's so many facilities for people to just do what they do, and then there's not a lot of distractions, and I've always loved that about Kamloops. And so people find what they like to do, and they hunker down and focus on it. And for me, growing up, we ended up getting the new skate park in MacArthur Island, I think when I was maybe 11 or 12. And then that park is incredible. It's a little beat up now, needs a bit of TLC, but for that period, it honestly it was like being gifted the greatest training ground. And then at the time too, you know, the skate scene it was really healthy, and it still is that right now. But having guys like Derek Swaim and Stacy Gabriel, who are both actually pro skaters from Kamloops as well, as kind of mentors and older guys to me, it was a really good community and scene for me.
As far as the opportunities that this opens up going to the Olympics, I know your career and your income is a lot of, well, competition prize money and sponsorship deals and being in videos.
Yeah.
And anyone who goes to the Olympics, they can see a boost financially in those opportunities. And especially I was thinking, this is the first time that Canada's sending skateboarders to the Olympics, and you're going. I mean, how much opportunity can this open up for you?
Yeah, I mean, I really, so far it's been great, and it's been extremely supportive through, you know, I have support through RBC, their Olympians program, and General Mills. I couldn't even believe it, but they decided to put me on my favorite cereal, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So you can find that in the local grocery store. But yeah, it's been very life-changing in a lot of ways. And it's funny because going into it, I was like, well, I'll just skate and see what happens, you know? And so I have no idea where it can end up, but I'm just focusing on what I like to do the most, and that's skate.
Well, we here at Kamloops last week are sponsored by, while we're doing plugs, Holmes is where the heart is matchmaking. Do you have a girlfriend?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so you're off the market.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on that one.
Do you, did she get to go to Tokyo with you? And have you started switching to the mindset of, you know, the lead up to the games and getting settled in there and everything?
Yeah, no, I definitely have a whole plan to prepare leading into that, but it's going to be very bizarre in the sense that, you know, we're going to have no Canadian fans, and I'm not able to bring any family members or loved ones, and so it's just really going to be, you know, Team Canada showing up, and, you know, really hope that all of the people who are, you know, genuine supporters in Canada find a way to support online or whatever, because it's from my understanding there isn't going to be many people in the crowd, so it's going to be interesting.
Do you have an opening ceremony?
We do, but I actually don't even know if I'll be a part of it. I haven't gotten a lot of details yet, but if it's happening, I definitely obviously hope we can walk with that. And it's funny actually, so a buddy of mine I went to high school with in elementary school, Isaac K. He's from Kamloops, and he plays for the rugby sevens team. And you know Isaac?
I interviewed him today. Yeah, I've interviewed him a few times.
Oh, wicked. Yeah, that's like my brother. Like, I've known him for years.
No way.
Yeah. No, we were really good friends. I met him in elementary school, and then we were buddies all throughout high school. Still talk all the time. And so, yeah, we keep talking in hopes that we can do the opening ceremonies and cruise together. But I don't know if COVID is going to allow it. But either way, it's pretty cool knowing that I think Isaac's going to be on the way too, and we both grew up together.
That's nuts, because for this show, I'm having you guys both on, and I had no idea that you guys were buddies.
Yeah.
I talked to him yesterday, and I don't know if he's just playing coy, but his big decision day is this Monday coming up. Like, they have their final team selection. He's been injured. But I think he's got a pretty good chance of going. I mean, do you go to Inside Scoop there? What's he telling you? Is he going to go or what?
That's kind of what he gave me an answer wise as well. It was like, I was like, you're coming, right? And he's like, yeah, you know, the decision's almost there. And so I think he's just waiting until that everything's confirmed. You know, it's like, job's not done until it's all set in stone. And so, yeah, I'll definitely be messaging him on Monday to find out, because, yeah, 2 Kamloops kids, pretty cool.